What's up, y'all? This is probably a terrible angle, and don't mind the forehead boo boo. I hurt myself at work, but today I'm trying something new. I'm here to show you the books that I like to read and have read. Um, I don't think I'm very good at talking on camera, but let's just get into it. So, first off, we got the Signet classic Voltaire, Candide, and Other Selected Stories. I've only read Candide, I believe is how you say it. And basically, let me look it up. It's like a take on optimism, I believe. And it's pretty funny. I mean, there's just like a bunch of I don't remember a lot. It's been a while since I read it. Basically, there's like he's chasing this girl the whole time, which still happens to this day. Um, Sorry, my cat's messing with something. Basically, yeah, like it's been a while since I read it. Not gonna lie, so I'm not gonna sit here and act like I know what it's about. But yeah, there you go. Next, we got the New Folgers Library Shakespeare, Macbeth. but Macbeth, I read it in high school and was forced to, and I believe that in high school you're not really capable of absorbing everything from Shakespeare. I read it as an adult, and there was a little bit of struggle to like grasp the language, and not necessarily the language, but just the way it's written. But honestly, I feel like what kind of cured that, or had made it easier, alleviated that, was just jumping right in. And I think I read probably 80, 90 pages, which in like a Folgers edition, where you get the like the words and what they mean on the right or on the left, and then the actual text on the right. That's not a lot, but I read it all the way through like an hour and a half. And I mean, it was really cool. I think Shakespeare is one of those authors where when you really dig into his stuff, references in your life start to make more sense. But yeah, it was an enjoyable read. Next, I got This Side of Paradise by F. Scott Fitzgerald. From what I understand about this book, first of all, I enjoyed this book. I don't think it's amazing, but it's almost like not, I wouldn't say it is a campus novel, but there is like a slight hint of that in the fact that, first off, this is semi-autobiographical. And there's a lot of scenes in this book that kind of remind me of my own life, only in the sense of like, I'm in my late 20s and I remember, not understanding what love was and thinking that this girl liked me because she did XYZ, not realizing that that's just stupidity. No spoilers, but there's a little bit of that in there. Basically, it's like, just a lot of young struggles. I know that's, I'm not articulating it well, but it's a lot of struggles of being young, struggles of finding yourself, struggles of the time, like women wanting to marry somebody for security more so than actual love. And, Amory is the main character, and he deals with a lot of that. And I also am a pretty big fan of F. Scott Fitzgerald. Just because I think he lived a somewhat interesting life and he crafts a good sentence. And I don't know, just something about the way he writes. I don't know. Next, that's my own journal. Next, we got East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I've only read this one. This is a Penguin Classics edition with like the really weird like green blue spine. Not weird in a bad way, but I like it. I like the cover too. I don't know if you can see that. Probably not because my phone sucks. But yeah, no, East of Eden, it's been a while since I read it. It's kind of like a family drama / family epic in the sense because it's I don't remember the amount of years it takes place throughout. But it's in, Adam and Caleb, they start as youngins. And then I think that actually starts out as their dad is young. And then it keeps going and going. And there are similar, AMC, Abel and Cain, or Cain and Abel. That rolls off the tongue easier. Yeah, I mean, I remember I like the way John Steinbeck writes. I feel like he crafts a good sentence too. Um, and his writing flows really easy. Now, this is one of those ones, like I said, it's been a while since I'm not even trying to review books in this video, but I remember really enjoying it. And I did research on the whole Tim Shell thing and like the phrase that comes along and what that really means. Yeah, but I remember it being enjoyable. I actually have not read The Grapes of Wrath or any other John Steinbeck book, which might be crazy. But there's Of Mice and Men, of course, Grapes of Wrath. And I want to read The Pearl, and then the nonfiction one about, I think it's like a voyage at sea or something. Not the name, but just what it's about. Next, you have, this is a pretty new book. Let me check. It's by One Signal Publishers. Amanda Montell's The Age of Magical Overthinking. This is like a this is copyright. This is published in 2024. Basically, it's Amanda Montell compiling a bunch of studies and evidence proving why online culture is sometimes a net negative, and why like things like TikTok get so big, and why people that like blatantly scam on TikTok get so big, and why we keep falling for it. It's kind of like a snapshot into a lot of psychology. I really enjoyed it. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about her, Amanda Montell that is. I know she wrote a book called Cultish, but I don't know anything else about Amanda. I'm sure she's a fine writer. I hope she's doing all right, but I do not know much about the book. I would recommend the book if you're into like superficial Scientology, and that's not a knock against the book. It's just like, it's an easy read. It's not going to be something you scan back over a bunch of times and get stuck on or anything. Next is the Penguin Classics edition of Don Quixote. I hope I'm saying that right. Probably not. This is what I hear is called the first novel, I believe, or like one of the oldest. It's a really good book. Actually, this is one of the biggest books I've read since I got kind of like back into reading. I read when I was a kid and then stopped for really no good reason. I like to blame high school for forcing reading upon me, or like forcing me to read books I don't want to read. But the last couple of years, I picked it back up. But this is actually a really good book. This is probably the biggest book I've read in a long time. I think it's around, it's like a little bit less than 1,000 pages, at least this edition, the Penguin one. It's a really good book. The first half is like pretty humorous for the most part throughout the whole duration. It's been a while. I know the windmill scene is famous. I love the scene where Don Quixote's like, hey, like, you need to tell my queen she's pretty, and they don't even know. I think it's the peasants probably don't even know what she looks like, and then he's just like, I just want to be told what I want to hear, and they have a good time with it. It's much better if you read the book. This is probably one of my recommendations for books. If you don't mind reading something that I wouldn't say is archaic, but has a slightly older-ish language, go read that. I have not read this book. This is just given to me by my grandma. John Grisham's The Chamber. I have not even tried to read this. I have never read a John Grisham book. I think he's from or lived in the same state I live in. That's probably doxing myself. But, I might check it out. Here you go. You have what's this? This is The Great Gatsby. Sorry, my cat just knocked my phone over. This is The Great Gatsby. It's just like a little mass market paperback edition. Even has the little like order form in the back, which is really cool. I've always loved this book cover. I don't know why. Something about them eyes is crazy. But it's The Great Gatsby. I recommend reading it. I'm not going to sit there and tell you about it. Just read it. Next, we have an older looking Penguin Classics, the Geoffrey Chaucer's The Canterbury Tales, translated by Neville Coghill. I've actually never read the entirety of the Canterbury Tales. I've just read let me look it up. I've read the prologue in an English class. I've read The Knight's Tale before, and it's The Knight's Tale, and there's another one that I've read. maybe the Prioress's Tale. I don't even remember. This is like an epic poem. I bought this secondhand and it has someone's address on it. Hopefully they're doing okay. Please don't go to their address. I kind of want to get the newer Penguin Classics edition, like this the trade paperback that is like the old English or old language. I'm probably wrong by calling it old English, but yeah. Next is another book I've kind of delved into but haven't like really read, but I want to read it so I can understand references in my own life. But it is Arabian Nights Entertainments, also known as 1001 Nights. This is the Oxford World Classics edition. This is where Sinbad, Aladdin, and Ali Baba came from. This was written between the original Arabian Nights manuscript, I believe, I think it says on the back, 1704 to 1717. Shahrazad, I don't even know if that's how I'm saying it. He just postpones a murderous little act if someone keeps telling him a story. So I want to read it. It's long. This book doesn't look that big, but this is about 900, and this is an estimate, about 950 pages. Next is like a BookTube favorite. I really like it, and I think the book reads well and flows well, but I think something about YouTube puts people in a trance, or something about BookTube, or maybe BookTube itself rather is how I should say it. BookTube itself gets put in a trance by this book, and I understand it, but there's a lot of people I know that are like, this is the best book I've ever read, like tops everything, and I don't quite understand it, but I'm not here to hate. But this is Stoner by John Williams. John Williams, actually, fun fact, he died in the town that I live in. Once again, I'm doxing myself. I think he's a good writer. I mean, I've only read Stoner. I've read half of Butcher's Crossing. I haven't tried Augustus, and I own Nothing But the Night, his first novel, published like way back in the 20s, I believe, when he was like, I think in his early 20s as well. I think he's a really good crafter of a sentence. I think he uses great vocabulary, even though I'm not a great judge. But I do this is basically a campus novel. From what I remember, it's been a while. He lives with and is raised by some like almost illiterate parents. He gets a little itch in his life to go to the what's that shit called? Go to Mizzou, University of Missouri. And basically, like, I know he becomes a professor, and there's also someone in the book named Lomax that's kind of trying to push him out. That's not really a spoiler. It's like a little subplot. But honestly, I'm sure you've heard about this book if you watch BookTube. It's kind of like nothing really happens, but also does at the same time. It's life in a book form. Is how I would say it. I would say if you don't mind what could possibly not be a slow burn per se, but slow in the sense of it's melodic. It's not just something high flying Michael Bay action movie. It is a character. It is a person. If you like that, and it's NYRB, I've had a pretty high opinion of. I've read My Death by Lisa Tuttle from them, and that's a pretty good book. You got this local author, Gut by J. Bailey Hutchinson. I enjoyed this. To be honest, I feel like I don't have much ground to really be a critic, nor do I want to be a critic. But I appreciate when a poem uses its language as a weapon, but I feel like I don't do it a service. I feel like I don't understand poetry like that. And I hate that for myself sometimes. Like, I try to understand poetry, but it's just like something about it. I don't know. I can't explain it, at least not in this video. Clockwork Orange. I actually have another Anthony Burgess book on this video. I mean, I like the movie. I know it's a little racy. I'm not the biggest fan of how it handles things, but I actually watched the movie first, then read the book. I enjoyed the book, and I really think it's kind of funny, just the language itself. All the buzzwords and you know yarblocos and all that. Basically the whole language. I enjoy that about the book. It's not necessarily probably the most original plot. It's just like a gang of teenagers, ruffians. Um, but I think it gets the job done as a book. It's not amazing, but it's a fun read. Once again, there is a few things in it that some people might not like, and I think if you know, you know. But I would recommend, maybe if you find it secondhand, pick it up. Um, this is Nothing But the Night by John Williams. This is published by the University of Arkansas Press in Fayetteville. I think this pressing, I can't really, let me see. This is published first printing of reprint edition 1990. This book, honestly, is a little bit weird. It's kind of a case of depression, anxiety, and how it affects somebody. And Arthur is the main character's name, and he's affected by a lot of that, by anxiety, depression, and I think he has, from what I remember, problems with his father, and that spirals those things out of control. And it's not, I don't want to say character study, but it's like what depression and anxiety do to someone who is fragile. I don't know if this book's hard to find or not, because I know NYRB has picked it up, so I guess it's not hard to find. But I know for a while, not firsthand, but I've heard that for a long time this was hard to find. There's a copy of it, first edition hardback, on is it Abe Books or Abe Books? I don't even know. I think it's like $400, and it's a crazy looking cover. Like, it's kind of spooky looking. Like, this one's kind of wild too. But this is Confessions of a Mask, Had to Readjust, by Yukio Mishima. This book is falling apart. That is actually duct tape. This is basically a story about a closeted gay male living in a hyper masculine society, and hence the mask word. But basically, he also has really weird fetishes, but he has to he has to put on the mask, because he knows that his homosexuality will get him in deep waters. I haven't read this in a while. This copy is all, like, I could probably rip this book in half right now. I would suggest giving this a read, based off of just what it's about. I know I'm short on words with it. A New Directions paperback. I have no real clue about what that means. 12th printing. The cover is really creepy. It's just like, it is a mask, but I'd recommend it. The next one is IQ 84 by Haruki Murakami. I didn't actually finish this because, one, I didn't find it all too compelling, and two, I wasn't the biggest fan. I've never been the biggest fan of how he writes women. I know that's not a complaint. That is original. But I just was like, you know what? I thought about recently picking it back up, to be honest with you, almost on like a why not type of reasoning. But it's a thick book. I'm sure it's a fun read. It's a little over 1,100 pages. I don't know. I think I need to read this again at some point, and maybe just push past the problems I have with it. It's gaining altitude. There's like Amame, and there's somebody else. It's been a lot. Tingo, I think. And it's like it follows the male's point of view for a few chapters, and then it switches to Aomame, a female point of view. I'm probably butchering those names, but yeah, I remember it being an okay read. I remember at one point saying like, "Oh, I wonder what happens," but I'm not thrilled. Yeah. Next up, you got The Big Fat Brick That Could Kill Somebody. That bad boy, The Count of Monte Cristo. I actually haven't finished this book. I am only 375 pages in. I've actually thought about just watching the movie. I know that might be weird, But I enjoy this book. I actually read this book at a really weird time in my life where I had to move to my grandparents because I was broke. And I would walk around in the woods and metal detect. That's one of my other hobbies. And I actually brought this with me and probably would read 10, 20 pages every time I metal detect. I'd take a little 15-minute break like I was at work. And I'd read through this. It's pretty beat up. But it's kind of like you can see like there's a little bit of wear and tear possibly. Translated by Robin Buss. I would suggest though, based off of like reputation, I'd suggest that. But yeah, this is a big fucking book. Sorry for the language. I didn't mean to do that. I'll show you a few books I haven't read, but I'm kind of hyped about. So, there's a book I have in my little satchel that I wish I had sitting next to me right now, but it is Warlock by Oakley Hall. Just because I do appreciate a well-written Western, and I actually checked out the NYRB version of Warlock by Oakley Hall several months ago. And this is not a reflection of quality, but I do remember only getting like 40, 50 pages in and then kind of got caught up with other things. And I don't think that's fair. I want to read it again. I have a mass market paperback version of it I found at my local secondhand bookshop. I don't remember who published it. I don't know if it's Bantam or not, but I want to pick it up and read it. Another two that I've heard and want to read strictly because of Steve Donahue. I don't know if he'll ever see this video. He'll probably not like it, but is Dragonflight by Anne McCaffrey. I don't know if this is a Michael Whalen cover, but I used to buy these shitty looking mass market paperback like sci-fi fantasy novels. I would sit there and say, I want to take every single Michael Whalen painting I see, and I want to choose the most metal looking one out of all of them. Like, I could see that on a metal band t-shirt, and that is the one I'm picking. I don't know anything about this. I'm guessing there is a dragon in it. And this one is Louis L'Amour, The Walking Drum. From what I know, here is a historical adventure of extraordinary power waiting to sweep you away to the exotic lands from one of the most popular writers of our time. He conquers new storytelling worlds. Cool. My grandpa said that Louis L'Amour probably wrote 80,000 books in the 80s and 90s, and I believe it. I used to have one. I picked it up at like a thrift store for $1. I don't even know. Something about rain, I think. Just a quick little mention. I'm sure you've never heard of that. I got Santiago by Mike Resnick. I actually found this book because I was on Reddit, and there was a Reddit thread that was asking, what are some books like Cowboy Bebop? And I saw this, and I was like, screw it, I'll pick it up. Another one I heard, another similar-ish situation was I saw another thread that was books like Fallout, and I want to read A Canticle for Leibowitz. I want to read that book. You got Beautiful and the Damned, F. Scott Fitzgerald. I actually should read The Inferno by Dante Alighieri. I got a big fat one. This is the other Anthony Burgess, Earthly Powers. Now, this book must hold that because of how big it is. You could throw this at somebody and end it right there. I also got Franz Kafka's The Trial. This is kind of a cool little like edition or volume, whatever word you want to throw out there. And I also got the Hamlet, just Hamlet. But that's about it. I don't know much about Hamlet, to be honest. It's probably a sin to some people, but I feel like I missed out on a lot not reading for all these years, and I'm kind of slowly making my way back. But yeah, thanks for watching. This was probably a terrible video, but I'll see you next time.